Alright YouTube, I am out here today with a 1999 Seadoo GSX, and I'd say I'm disappointed that I'm out here having to work on this ski. I bought this in December. I did a short little video on it back in December when I bought it, because I was excited that this and the GTI that I bought were the first two skis that actually were runners. And as far as what I expected and kind of thought was the case, that they were water ready. So I think I made a comment in that video that I was excited about the fact that now I had two skis that I didn't have to do any work on, and just ready to hit the water. So obviously by me standing here, that's not the case. We got them down to the water, and both cranked, both idled fine in the water. But the problem here with the GSX is we never got it really above 10 miles an hour. That's it. And the GTI, I'll do a separate video on that, but it cranked, as I said, and it idled in the water, but any throttle that I gave it, it just died. And that was it. So, disappointing day. Had to pack these things back up and bring them back home. And so, digging into this, and so I'll take you off the stand. I'll show you what I've done so far. I do this all the time. I'll come out here and I'll start working without even thinking about turning the camera on. And then I'll be in the middle of something, and then I'll grab the camera. So I've already done a little bit. I'll catch you up what I'm doing and show you what I hope is the problem. But I'd like, if any of you guys have had a ski, same symptoms, where it cranks and idles fine, even revs fine on the trailer. So there was no indication that it was not going to have any power when we got on the water. So if you've had that happen before and you've got a remedy or something to check, let me know, because I'm just going to start going through things and try to narrow it down to what the problem is. So let me get you off the stand. We'll open this thing up, and so I'll show you what I've done, show you what I'm about to do, and we'll see if we can get this thing running. All right. All right, so here we go. And what I read off of message board was somebody was having similar symptoms, and they found it to be the water regulator. And so I took that off. Here it is. It's got two hoses connected to it back here, and it just screws in right here. If you pick that up on the camera there, right in the middle. I took that off, and so what I was hoping that inside here, what I'd read was if your pressure down here, if the water pressure, if this is not working, then you'll lose power. And it sounded similar to what I was experiencing. But I took this apart. It escaped me now. A little bladder, rubber bladder. What is it? I've forgotten. On the inside of this, that if it's ruptured, if it's ripped, torn, that it's not, it's not working, and it's not regulating the water pressure and so forth. But this was perfect on the inside, no issues at all. So this isn't the problem, and just haven't put it back in. So that is gone. And let me go ahead and say I've checked the pump. I know that's probably going to be the first thing out. So, well, you've got something going on with your pump. There's nothing visible. Everything looks good. And the way my wife described it, it wasn't really a cavitation problem. But anyway, there's nothing debris. There's no debris in the pump. The wear ring is good. So it doesn't appear to be the pump. The next thing I did is I checked the compression and I was really happy about that. It was 160 in both cylinders, so that part is good. So I was watching a video, I think of, I can't remember now, maybe the Jet Ski Brothers or something, and having trouble with one of their skis, and it turned out to be the fuel filter on the bottom of the fuel pump. So that is kind of where I'm at, and let me show you what I've done. Like I said, I already started this before I grabbed the camera. So let me get a flashlight and see if you can pick this up. So here's my fuel tank. I've already taken the top off. There's like 9 washers, 9 little nuts that I took off, and removed the fuel pump and fuel filter and all that's kind of together. Real simple, no big deal, easy can be. There's just an electrical hook up there, and then your vent hose and your fuel line. I've tucked it in down here on the side. So that's it. So let me show you now what it looks like. Here are the washers, and like I said, just the small nuts I took off. The gasket that goes around it. And so I pulled this out, and I've learned this from watching another YouTube video. And here at the bottom, I have already pulled it apart, but here is the base of this thing, and it actually slides right back up into there, and that's the way it was when it came out. So it is riveted, if we can pick that up there, on each side. So what I did is I just took a drill, matched the size of that hole, and just drilled that rivet out. No big deal. And but this doesn't just fall out, so I took a screwdriver and I kind of just beat it along these edges to, you know, get this to slowly work its way down and off. But kind of getting ahead of myself here. On the bottom, very bottom, is a fuel filter. Here it is. Now this looks a lot better than when I first took it off. The reason I say that is I've already gotten my air compressor and blew it out as much as I could and cleaned it, but this was really dark and dirty. So this is at down here on the bottom, so it just pulls off. Pop that off, but on the inside up here was another one. Well, actually, I guess it goes down into here we go. Gotta point my phone the right way. So this fits here, obviously, if I line it up right. That's on the inside. Pop that off here. So these are, as I said, they were really dirty, and I'm hoping that this is my problem, that it's a fuel problem and a pickup. So now this was last weekend, so I came in and ordered it. Let's go over here and pick it up real quick. Should have just pulled everything here on the bench, but I get better lighting outside. It's kind of late afternoon. So here's what I came in and ordered. Haven't even opened it yet. So 2 new filters to put on here to replace these. And so I hope Made in China. How about that? So let's get this back on here. Let's get this back together. I have a little rivet gun that I'm gonna, once I get this seated back in, pop that in there, reattach it, and I don't know, this thing came out kind of jacked. I guess maybe just because once I popped this off, it kind of released it. I don't know, but everything looks good. Hopefully everything is still working as far as that goes. You know, obviously it was getting some gas or it wouldn't have ran as it did. So there we go. Let's see if we can get these on here and get this thing back in here. And I have all the confidence in the world that when I get it back on there, it's going to crank and it's going to run, because it did that before with these in it. So we won't know until we get it back out on the water. So anyway, that's my plan. Again, you know of anything else for me to check of what it could be? This is the fuel injection, by the way. It's not a carbureted. You probably already picked that up, but anyway, all right, so I'm going to stop here, get this thing ready, and let's get this fuel filters attached and get this pump assembly back into the tank, and let's see what happens. All right, so my first step is to get the interior filter on, and I don't know if it is picking this up, but there is like a little tit, some kind here, and when I took it off, it looked like it fit right in this notch. So there is a particular way it looks like that this is supposed to go back on there. So you're probably not going to be able to see this part, because what I'm going to do is pick this up, and I don't know if I either come down this way with it or pick it up and push down. I'm going to try it the other way, going up, so you may not be able to see the top. But anyway, so I'm lining this up with this little notch in the plastic here, and trying to work it over the head here, because it's I think it kind of pops in there, so it's not as easy as just sliding it on there and then you're done. So let me try this first. Let's see if this works. Okay. All right, so I think I got it. It kind of popped. It does. That little tit that I showed you fits right into that notch on that plastic, and I just worked it in, and it kind of made a little pop noise, I guess. They kind of just let me know it was seated. So, all right. So the next step, with the spring inside of it, I'm having to hold it here because it wants to go in or out either side. Whichever side I let go, it's going to pop out. So I'm trying to keep it from doing that. So now I've got the base here, and let's see, got to make sure that lines up perfectly. Again, this is my first time around with this, so I'm just kind of working. Okay, so now I got it seated in there, and so I'm going to turn this thing up again. You probably can't see. I'm going to line these two holes where the rivets are. not want to cooperate here. We're almost there. Probably should get maybe a hammer just to make sure. Let me what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to I still need to come down about 1/4 of an inch, maybe not that much. So let me get a hammer, tap this down to make sure these holes line up perfectly. Alright, so alright, so right now it looks like the holes line up. Alright, so the next step is to use this cheap old rivet gun. Alright, you guys know how to use a rivet gun. This is my first time around with this as well, so let's see if it fits. It is not going through the hole. Looks like it still needs to go down some. Alright, so that one, if I'm doing this right, and I know for sure, alright, one down. Let's see if we can get our second rivet in here. Okay, got the base back on, got it riveted in. Now we just got to get this top part lined up, and this is what I was talking about when it came out. It was looking like this, so gosh, I don't know. So I got to line it back up with the bottom part here. Getting late, so I'm going to stop here. Don't roll away. And this filter here is just going to slide over the bottom. I believe it's just like that, just slides over. And this is ready to go back into the ski. Just kind of concerned about this, why this is not catching and staying down into the canister there. So, alright, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to pick this up tomorrow. Have a little more daylight and we'll look at this a little longer. All right, it is a week later. Why is it a week later? Well, I'm going to tell you why. But first, just gonna pick it up. I got the pump back in, all bolted back. Hope everything is good. I got it fitted down in there and tightened all the bolts. Everything's hooked back up. So put it in just like it came out, so we should be good, except for 2 clean brand new filters. But here's what happened. As always, the water regulator that I took out, so after I finished up front, came back here and screwed in the water regulator down there, and I've got 2 hoses that go to it, and one of them is this one. This thing is hard as rock, and I'm telling you this, showing you this, so you don't repeat my mistake if you're doing this. But originally I couldn't even get this off of the little spout of the regulator, so I just cut it. But when I went to put this back on, obviously there was no way it was going back on the water regulator. But stupid me, I thought I could just work it in, and so I was kind of grinding it on like that, and I thought it was working until I've got it in my other hand here. Well, I'll just leave the big part of the hose on it. All I did was twist that off. So I should have recognized from the very beginning that that hose was too old, too brittle to put back on there, but I tried to force it, and that's what I did. So that little plastic piece cost me basically a day out on the water, because I was getting this thing ready to take it out. So I had to come in, order a new piece. That was last weekend, and the new piece has come in. I've already opened it here. So it's just a little T-fitting, and that's it. A little plastic T-fitting. Now when I did it last week, I went to 2 local automotive stores just looking for something that was just, similar, something I thought maybe I could make work in the interim. But here's the part that I need and replaced, and it's come in. So now I'm going to, and I went ahead and bought some new line. They did have that at the automotive place. So I'm good there. I've already slipped it on when this first came in yesterday. So the hose works great. So we're good to go. So I've got to hook the 2 hoses back up to the regulator, and then the large hose here is where one end of this T goes in, and then it goes to the back. And let me see here, I'll show you if I don't lose the nuts down into the bottom of the engine. So where this line ran, and now I can't get it, so let's see if this will fit. Won't fit. Anyway, the little e-box here, I just removed that. It just slides right on out here, and that water line runs in behind it, and there's a connector on the back of the ski that it plugs into. And so anyway, I don't know if I'm explaining this, but this goes to the back of the ski, and this is where the T connector goes, and in that portion of the hose to the regulator hooks on right there. So anyway, all right, so finally got this in. Let's put this thing back together, and I'm hoping that we're going to get to the lake tomorrow and get this in the water, and we're going to find out if this is going to, if that solved my problem. Well, I had to wrap this thing up. I hope
just
we'll
no
get to go
power
to
in
the
the
lake
water,
tomorrow.
so.
I haven't checked the weather yet, but I hope to get out there and test this out to see if changing those fuel filters on the pump works. If that was my problem. But anyway, got the new T-fitting in. Got the water hose. The water hose is connected back together, and I got the water regulator hooked back up. And as far as I know, everything is hooked back up, ready to go. And I'll crank this thing up just for a second, let you listen to it to see that it cranks up. But it's always cranked right up and idled well, and idled well in the water. So just didn't have any power when you get on the throttle here. So I'll fire it up real quick and before I call it a day, and maybe I'll have a better video on the water. Well, I didn't have a video first time, so hopefully this is my fix. But here she is. All right, so hopefully I can take some video tomorrow, and hopefully this is was a fix and this thing is ready to go. All right, thanks.